So hello. My name is Liz Nofziger, and I'm happy to know some of you in the audience. It makes me a bit more comfortable. I grew up in a small Mennonite community in southern Indiana, and I moved to Boston in 2001. I got my Master's of Fine Arts in the Studio for Interrelated Media at MassArt. I make site-specific installations using video, sound, light, sculpture, and really any means necessary to make the work function in its place. I really use site as starting point and work with the constraints. I start by observing a space and its uses or misuses, then teasing out past lives of the space and extrapolate from there. Viewer engagement often completes my work. I wanted to show you two recent works that I made in the public sphere that sort of represent the diverse approach that I take and the spectrum of community involvement that comes with it. So this piece that you're hearing in the background, I made for Sounding, a work that's still in the Boston Shipyard and Marina. The audio is all from vintage hydrophone recordings that were created to train submarine pilots. And this thing you're looking at, this crevice, I was drawn to it because it's this weird non-space. So it's a working shipyard, historic naval yard, and this historic building was expanded with a more recent metal-clad structure. For some reason, they don't connect until about 10 feet in, so there's this little slice of nothing. And I have this piece running 24 hours a day, and it's also part of the harbor walk, so you might be walking your dog and be lured into this piece when you're not expecting it at all. So that's an example of kind of an invisible piece. I should have switched my slides sooner. There's a detail of the interior. There were also lots of snails in there, which is cool. And I did a small intervention with this gold foil. So there was a minimal physical element, but most of it was sound. So I'm just going to pop out and turn the sound off. It was a 3-minute loop, but you can hear the rest at the shipyard. I encourage you to go there. It's a great space. So the other piece, in contrast, is as the public artist in residence at the Boston Center for the Arts, I was tasked with activating their plaza there on Tremont Street and working to engage a broader audience. And so what I did, I made this triple-wide communal ping pong table that was amplified to make a mutant game or instrument. It was free and open to the public around the clock. And what I loved about ping pong, it was approachable to everyone. And as it was modified, it could be played with, even if you weren't trying to play the game, or if you were too short to really play the game, you could interact with it. It was great. Delivery drivers, as I was setting it up, were asking me all sorts of questions and bringing paddles with them once they knew and waiting, can we play yet? And so, you know, like service workers and businessmen and children and elderly and all sorts of people were coming together and inevitably interacting at this table. There were 6 contact mics under each half, and those were capturing each bounce, processing it and playing it back in real time as you were there. I hosted tournaments with the help of the VCA, and one performance by a class, a beat research class from Zoomix, came and played for the gathering on the table, which was very cool. So I'm interested in working with Parks and Recreation, and I first approached them with interest in knowing about sort of secret or underutilized spaces. And in this early conversation, I was really impressed by the incredible work that they're doing in the vast network of properties and the range of types of properties. These early conversations led me to think about how I could approach, the challenges. I also came away with noting the challenges that they have of how to make sure that everyone has access to green space, and this is a real goal. and hearing the frustration of outreach, how to improve the community turnout and really let people know what kind of power they have to influence the development of public space. So then, this led me to think about how I, with my different perspective, might be able to come in and approach these challenges myself. So I propose to examine the process of the park development or redevelopment, and I would use this process to envision and implement an installation that reimagines a transitional space with the community. In doing this, I would hope to uncover alternative approaches to community engagement and working methods. So what better way to explore and sort of push against a process or wrestle with a process than to experience it myself. So I would lead their process to make a piece where the process and the outcome both were the artwork. So I live in East Boston, and as I was researching on the park site and in real space, I came upon this site in my neighborhood where I've been for more than 14 years and never knew to think about this as a park, but it's listed as Condor Street Overlook. I never even noticed that it's at a curve, and it's this tiny little space that I would love to give access to. So as a model site, I don't definitely have the, I would have to work with the Conservation Commission. This is in their realm, and Parks and Recreation work with them and manage a lot of the wetlands and urban wild. So there's a relationship there already. I don't know if I would be able to get access, but I think my method could be applied to other sites as well. So I would like to make a low budget, high impact intervention that could be short or long term in this site. So it's got this spectacular view that's completely inaccessible, and we're an island, but we don't have many places where we can get to the water, really. So I would love to be able to do this. Here you can maybe see it a little better. It's a satellite image showing the tiny triangle of land that's at street level, and then the beach. Beaches on either side are also part of this property, but are underwater much of the day. You can see the cars to reference scale. This is another image that shows a bit more how tiny it is, and you see that there once must have been a fence along the perimeter. Let's see, but it shows the retaining wall and this chain link fence that's currently blocking it off. So the small scale of this space would really allow innovation and experimentation within this community process. I would like to work with the community to determine a plan within the constraints of budget, safety, and regulation. With the community, I would determine upgrades such as a perimeter fence, sign, and seating, and I would like to, we would potentially determine to integrate sound or light into these functional structures, maybe collecting field recordings of memories of the place and stories from residents of the area. This would create civic pride and ownership of this tiny corner that's kind of forgotten. I would also want to learn and document from the process with the idea that it could be replicated in other sites. So my first avenue of investigation would be to look into that Condor Street property to see if there was a potential partnership with Conservation Commission. I would also simultaneously make site visits to additional newly acquired or undeveloped spaces that Parks has access to, like what you see here. There's a really great corner piece by a bus stop and some small businesses that has been vacant for a long time that I would like to change. That one would probably be temporary. It's much larger in comparison to the teeny little triangle. So I would also perform a series of interviews with project leaders to learn about their experience of the process. My civic engagement as a citizen prepares me well to navigate with organizations. I have invested lots of time and effort into collaborating with different organizations to benefit community. And I spend a lot of time in parks, and I would love to have the opportunity to to urge residents to have more involvement in engaging civic space and determining how it evolves and meets our needs and ideals.